All right, so you're prepping for a zoology technician interview. We've come to the right place. We're diving deep into some really cool resources to help you get ready.
That's right.
We've got career guides, even interview guides.
Yes.
And we'll even talk about how RoleCatcher can really give you a leg up. Honestly, getting ready for this, I was surprised by some of the stuff I learned.
Oh, really?
It's not just about loving animals. There's a lot of science involved.
Right. Being a zoology technician is a lot more than just working with animals. It's really about using your scientific knowledge to care for them,
Yeah.
study their behavior, and really contribute to research that could impact how we understand and conserve animals.
Exactly. And the career guide, Zoology Technician, really highlights that. Like, you go to the What They Do section, and they talk about not just lab work, but also field work and research.
Right.
Imagine yourself out in the field. You're watching animals in their natural habitat, collecting data,
Absolutely.
contributing to real scientific discoveries. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And don't forget the scope section, which really emphasizes how much responsibility you have. You're not just watching, you're actually playing a crucial role in making sure the animals are okay and that the research is accurate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the interview prep. Now, the interview guide. Zoology Technician has a ton of these typical interview questions.
Right.
But we're going to go way deeper than just surface-level answers.
Okay, sounds good.
How about this one? Can you describe your experience with animal enrichment programs?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's one that really goes beyond just the basics.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just say, yeah, I've done that. You really need to show that you understand why those programs matter.
I see.
The interviewer is looking for you to make those connections between animal behavior, their welfare, and the research goals.
So how do we make our answer really stand out?
You got to think about specific times that you actually created an enrichment program.
I see.
Or when you implemented one. What were some of the challenges you faced? How did you tailor that program to meet the specific needs of the animal? Did you notice any good changes in their behavior? The more details you give and the more insightful those details are, the more you'll stand out.
That's a great point. And this is where I think RoleCatcher can really make a difference.
Yeah.
Its AI can actually analyze the job description and tell you if a skill like working with enrichment programs is super important to them.
Oh, wow.
So, to really nail that part of your answer.
Precisely. It's about being strategic.
Yeah.
And tailoring your answers to what that specific job needs. Now, the interviewer might throw in a follow-up question, something like, how do you measure how effective an enrichment program is?
Oh, that's a good one. They're really getting at your scientific method there, aren't they?
Exactly. So you want to talk about how you keep track of changes in behavior,
Okay.
stress levels, maybe even physiological indicators. It's all about showing them that you're thinking like a scientist when it comes to caring for animals.
Yeah. All right. Let's do another question. How do you prioritize tasks when you're working with multiple animals or projects at the same time? The pros and cons section in the career guide actually mentions that this job can be pretty demanding.
It can.
And fast-paced.
Right.
So you have to show them that you're organized.
Absolutely. They're looking for someone who can stay calm under pressure, manage their time well, and make good decisions when it's busy.
Yeah.
Think about a specific time when you had to juggle a lot of responsibilities. How did you handle it? Did you have any strategies to stay organized and make your deadlines?
And don't just give them a list of generic things, right?
Oh, no.
Like, oh, I made a to-do list.
Yeah.
Go deeper. Did you have a special system?
Exactly.
Like color-coding tasks or something like that.
Yeah.
Prioritizing based on urgency. Were there any unexpected challenges, and how did you adapt? They really want to understand how you think.
Absolutely.
And how you solve problems.
Yeah. They might even ask, tell me about a time when you had to switch up your priorities because something unexpected happened.
Oh, I see.
Exactly.
That's a good one. So that question gives you a chance to show off how flexible you are.
Right.
And how you can roll with the punches, which is so important in a field like zoology.
Absolutely.
And RoleCatcher can actually help you get ready for those follow-up questions too, right?
It can. By looking at the job description,
Okay.
the AI can kind of predict what those follow-up questions might be and give you tips on how to answer them.
So it's almost like having a personal interview coach. All right, let's tackle a question that's a little more about your technical skill.
Okay.
Can you describe your experience working with laboratory equipment and procedures? This is your chance to really show off your hands-on experience and your knowledge of all those scientific protocols.
Exactly. But it's more than just listing off all the equipment you've used. You need to show that you really understand how to use those tools in specific procedures. Have you calibrated equipment? Do you know how to maintain it? Have you ever had to troubleshoot a problem?
Right.
What safety protocols are you familiar with? How do you make sure your results are accurate and reliable?
The functions and core abilities section in the career guide really emphasizes accuracy, attention to detail,
Yep.
and really being committed to following those protocols.
Absolutely.
So if you weave those things into your answer, it's a great way to connect your skills to what they're looking for.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get into the specifics.
Oh, yeah.
Pick a procedure you know well
Yeah.
and walk them through the steps. Highlight your technical skills and show them you know how science works.
And they might ask, tell me about a time a piece of lab equipment gave you trouble. How did you figure out what was wrong?
Ooh, that's the classic one. They're trying to see how you solve problems and think critically when things get tough.
I see.
And RoleCatcher can be a big help here too,
Oh, yeah?
by providing you with examples of similar situations and giving you guidance on how to structure your answer.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right, let's finish up this first part with a question that often trips people up. Can you describe your experience with data analysis and statistics? You know, some people who want to be zoology technicians might think it's all about working with animals,
Yeah.
hands-on.
Right.
But data analysis is a huge part of scientific research.
Absolutely. From analyzing animal behavior to figuring out population trends,
Right.
data is essential to zoology.
So what if you don't have a ton of experience with those complicated statistical software programs?
Well, first of all, don't panic.
Okay, good advice.
You've probably worked with data in some way, even if you haven't used fancy software.
Okay.
Think about your classes. Did you analyze data for a research project
Oh, yeah.
or a lab report?
Good point.
Focus on those basic principles of data analysis. How did you collect that data?
Yeah.
How did you organize it? Did you spot any trends? What conclusions did you come to?
You could even mention simple spreadsheet software, like Excel, as long as you can explain how you used it to work with and understand the data.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can be helpful here, too.
Oh, how so?
Its AI can scan that job description and tell you if they specifically mention any statistical software.
Oh, wow.
So you can tailor your answer to highlight your experience with the exact tools they're looking for.
Very strategic.
The key is to show them you can think critically and find meaning in data, even if you haven't worked with massive data sets yet. And they might ask, can you tell me about a time you used data analysis to figure something out or make a suggestion?
Oh, that's a great one.
Exactly. It gives you a chance to really show off your analytical skills
I see.
and how you can apply data to real-life situations.
Yeah.
But we'll dig into that a bit more in part 2. So welcome back to our deep dive on acing that zoology technician interview. Last time we were talking about showing off your data analysis skills.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the hands-on part of this job.
Right.
Let's get practical. Let's talk about this question. Can you describe your experience with animal husbandry?
Yeah, this one's all about proving you're comfortable and skilled when it comes to the daily care of animals.
Exactly.
It's your chance to show them you're not just a scientist, you're a caregiver.
Yes.
You understand what different species need.
It goes way beyond just feeding and cleaning. It's about everything that goes into keeping those animals healthy and happy.
Oh, I see.
Planning their diets,
Okay.
watching for any signs of illness or stress,
Right.
giving them medication if they need it,
Mm-hmm.
understanding how they breed.
Yeah, it's a lot. And like we mentioned before, the industry is really moving toward enrichment programs.
Absolutely.
So if you've got any experience with that, definitely highlight it.
If you've ever designed one
Yeah.
or implemented one,
Mm-hmm.
even on a small scale, talk about it.
Yeah.
What were your goals?
Okay.
What kind of materials did you use? How did the animals react? Those details really paint a picture for the interviewer.
Now, what about those listening who maybe haven't worked in a zoo or a research facility? What should they do?
Think outside the box. Have you volunteered at a shelter?
Oh, yeah.
Worked at a pet store? Even taking care of pets with special needs?
Okay.
Anything where you've been responsible for an animal's well-being, even if it wasn't a formal setting, counts.
Yeah, and don't just say, I fed them and cleaned up.
Yeah, no.
Talk about the challenges.
Right.
What did you learn? What were those specific needs? Did you learn how to handle a really skittish cat? Or maybe you had to create a special diet for a bird with a sensitive stomach. Those details are what makes you stand out.
They show the interviewer that you really care about animals and that you're willing to go the extra mile.
Right.
And then they might follow up with something like, what's the most challenging animal you've ever cared for? And what did you learn from that experience?
Oh, that's a really good question.
It's all about showing off how you solve problems,
Mm-hmm.
how you adapt to the unexpected, and how
Right.
you learn and grow.
Yeah, and RoleCatcher can help you brainstorm those challenging situations,
It
right?
can, and it
Yeah.
can help you
Yeah.
practice how you're going to explain how you handled it.
Yeah, so you can walk into that interview feeling really prepared and confident.
Hmm.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about field research. Now, that might sound more like something a research scientist would do,
Right.
but technicians are often involved too.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack this question. Can you describe your experience with field research and data collection?
Field research is all about observing animals where they live,
Okay.
collecting data about their behavior, how their populations change,
Yeah.
and how they interact with their environment.
It's super important for understanding how animals thrive in the wild.
Absolutely.
But what if someone's never been on a big research expedition?
Doesn't mean they have nothing to offer. Think
Right.
broadly again. Have you ever volunteered for a wildlife survey, helped with bird banding, or even just spent time watching animals in a local park?
I see.
Those things show off your observation skills, your comfort in the outdoors, and your ability to collect and record data without making mistakes.
And don't forget about personal projects.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you tracked butterfly migration in your backyard or something like that.
Oh, that's a great example.
Maybe you documented how squirrels behave in your neighborhood.
Exactly. Those personal projects show that you're passionate and really interested in the field,
Yeah.
and they often need you to use those same key skills:
Mhm.
observation, data collection,
Mhm.
analysis, critical thinking.
Yeah. Now they might ask, tell me about a time you had to overcome a challenge while doing field work.
Right. That's a chance to shine a light on your problem-solving skills and your ability to adapt when things get unpredictable. Think about bad weather, a broken piece of equipment, or even a surprising animal encounter. How did you handle it?
It's about proving you're resourceful, that you're resilient, and that you can think on your feet.
Exactly. And speaking of thinking on your feet, let's talk about a question that checks how committed you are to staying up to date in this field. How do you stay current with new research and developments in zoology?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It really gets at your passion for lifelong learning, which is so important in science.
They want to know that you're actively seeking out new knowledge and that you're informed about all the latest discoveries and trends.
So just saying, I read articles online probably won't cut it. What are some better ways to show your commitment to professional development?
Mention specific journals you read, like Zoological Journal of the Linnean Society or Conservation Biology.
Good examples.
Attending conferences or webinars shows you're taking initiative.
And what about professional organizations?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the American Association of Zookeepers
Yes.
or the Society for Conservation Biology.
Exactly. Membership gets you access to resources,
Yeah.
and it shows you're serious about the field.
And if you've presented research at a conference, or even just actively participate in online forums or discussions, those are great things to mention too.
They are. Now, they might follow up with, what's a recent development in zoology you found particularly interesting, and why?
Yeah, that one's all about showing your genuine interest in the field.
Hmm.
Can you connect current research to the bigger picture of zoology?
Exactly. So think about a study that really made you think. What were the main findings? Why did it grab your attention?
Okay, let's tackle a question that can sometimes be tricky. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements with coworkers or supervisors? I know it's tempting to just say, I get along with everyone.
Yeah, but disagreements happen everywhere, right?
Right, especially when you're working in a collaborative field like zoology.
Absolutely. They're really looking for how you handle those situations in a professional and productive way.
Right.
So think about a time you faced a conflict, maybe a disagreement about research methods
Okay.
or miscommunication about who's doing what.
Yeah, and when you're describing it, focus on the steps you took to fix it. Did you listen to the other person's point of view?
Right.
Try to find some common ground or suggest a compromise.
Yes.
It's all about showing you approach conflict calmly,
Absolutely.
communicate clearly, and focus on finding a solution that works for everyone.
And if you can, talk about a positive outcome.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Did it lead to a better research design,
Okay.
a more efficient way of working, or even just a stronger relationship with your coworker? Show them that you see conflict as a chance to grow and improve.
Yeah, I like that. Now, they might ask, tell me about a time you had to work with someone whose work style was totally different from yours. How did you make it work?
That's a great one. It gives you a chance to showcase your interpersonal skills, your flexibility, and your ability to be a team player.
Remember, zoology is all about collaboration.
It is.
So being able to work well with others is essential.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a lifesaver.
Really?
It can analyze that job description and pick out keywords about teamwork, collaboration, and communication. So you can make sure you're highlighting those skills in your answers.
It's all about using the tools you have to present the best version of yourself and show that you understand what they're looking for. Okay, before we move on, there's one last question I want to cover. Why are you interested in this specific role at this organization? It seems straightforward.
It does.
But it's a golden opportunity to make yourself stand out.
Absolutely. You got to show them you've done your research, that you get what they do, and that you're actually excited about the chance to contribute to their mission.
So avoid those generic answers like, I love animals. Dig a little deeper.
Right. Check out their website.
Okay.
Read about their projects.
Yeah.
Learn about their values and goals. What really grabbed your attention?
That's a good question.
Do they have any research areas that line up with your interests? Have they done anything amazing for conservation that you admire?
Yeah, great points. Highlight those connections. Explain what excites you.
Maybe they're using cool new tech for animal care.
Yeah.
Or maybe their research is all about a specific species you're passionate about.
Now they might ask, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing this organization, and how do you think you can help tackle them?
Ooh, that's a big one. It's your time to show off your critical thinking, your knowledge of the field, and how your skills and experience connect to what they need.
It's about showing them you're not just looking for a job. You're looking to make a real difference. But we'll get into that more in the last part of our deep dive. Welcome back to our final part of this deep dive on preparing for your zoology technician interview. We've talked about so much, from animal husbandry to how to deal with disagreements.
Right.
But before you walk into that interview room, let's take a step back.
All right.
And talk about the bigger picture, like what the overall interview scene is like for this role.
Yeah, it's important to know what you're getting into.
Right.
And the career guide actually points out that this field is pretty competitive. There are a lot of people who love animals and want to work with them.
Right. The job outlook section mentions something like a 7% growth rate, which isn't bad.
No, it's good.
But it still means you need to find ways to stand out, right?
Exactly. And that's where doing your research on potential employers really comes in. It's not just about knowing what a zoology technician does.
Yeah.
It's about understanding what that role looks like in that organization.
And that's where RoleCatcher's employer database can be so helpful.
Absolutely.
It's not just a list of companies. It's like a gold mine of information about their culture, their values, their mission, even their hiring practices. It's like you get a sneak peek behind the curtain before you even apply.
Exactly. It helps you move beyond those generic answers and really show that you've done your homework.
Right, like let's say you're interviewing at a wildlife sanctuary that's all about rehabilitation.
Okay.
Using RoleCatcher, you might find out that they really value experience with specific species.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're super focused on community outreach.
That's a great point.
So when they ask you, why are you interested in this role? You can go beyond, I love animals.
Right.
You can say something like, I'm really drawn to your work with injured birds of prey, and my experience in wildlife rehab really fits with your mission.
Exactly. That personal touch shows them you're genuinely interested, and it makes you stand out.
Okay, let's talk about another key part of the interview.
Right.
Asking good questions. Remember, it's a two-way street. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Absolutely. Asking thoughtful questions shows you're engaged, you're curious.
Right.
And you can think critically. It proves you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for the right fit.
So what kind of questions would impress a zoology technician interviewer?
Avoid questions that you could just Google,
Okay.
Ask things that show you understand their work and that you're interested in their specific projects and approaches.
So instead of saying, what does this job involve on a daily basis?
Right.
You could say something like, I read about your study on the impact of habitat loss on local reptile populations. What were some of the key findings, and how does that research impact your conservation efforts?
Now, that's a great question. It shows you've done your research, you're interested in what they're doing, and you're thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, and another good tip is to write down a few questions as they're talking.
Oh, that's a smart strategy.
Maybe something they say sparks a new question.
Yeah.
Where you want to follow up on a point they made.
It shows you're listening and genuinely interested.
And don't be shy about asking about professional development opportunities, right?
Absolutely. It shows you're committed to learning and growing,
Right.
and that you want to make a real contribution to the field.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with some final thoughts. We've covered skills, experience, interview strategies.
We have.
But what are some qualities that make a great zoology technician that go beyond what's on the resume?
Passion.
Oh, definitely.
You have to love animals. This field can be tough, so you need that love to keep you going when things get challenging.
It's true. You really do. Curiosity, too.
Oh, absolutely. Always be learning, wanting to understand how the animal world works. That will help you keep growing and developing in this field.
And don't underestimate the power of observation.
Such a good point.
Whether you're in the lab, out in the field,
Right.
or just watching your pet goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
Honing that skill will make you a better, more insightful technician.
And empathy.
Right?
You're working with living beings with their own needs and sensitivities.
It's true.
Approaching your work with compassion and respect isn't just good for the animals, it makes your work more rewarding too.
That's a great way to put it. So as you head into that interview, remember to showcase your skills, your passion, and what makes you unique. Be confident, be prepared, and most importantly, be yourself. The world needs passionate, dedicated zoology technicians.
It does.
And we believe in you.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's here to help you every step of the way. From making your application stand out to practicing those tough interview questions, even researching potential employers. Use these tools to your advantage. Go make your mark on the world of zoology.
Good luck. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and let that passion shine through.
Oh,